Hey guys, this is Liera, and as some of you may have heard, I have just recently been on vacation to the Netherlands. I thought it would be kind of fun to just share the experience with you guys. And this is my very first time recording something longish form in terms of a vlog, so please be patient with me. I will be looking to the side because I have a script showing me all the things that I wanted to talk about, so here we are. Let's begin. So we're starting out on a very high note. The day after we landed, it was Koningsdag, and I am sure I entirely butchered the term and the name of the day, so please forgive me. Anyway, back to the actual event. Case in point, look at what we got to see. It was so much fun, and we ended up walking around a lot. I think we ended up walking close to 10 miles in a day, which was very impressive, but considering how it was actually happening, makes complete sense because we essentially were doing circles around the center of the festivities back and forth and trying to compare how the level of the crowds was developing, and it was very fun. I unfortunately don't have any footage of anything that was happening there because I was afraid that I'm going to get my camera or phone knocked out of my hand, so I decided not to risk it. There's only one phone video that I can share with you guys that you've already seen. But anyways, on to calmer experiences, shall we? Next day, we decided to take a trip, and I'm gonna butcher it again. Kinderdijk? Something like that. It's a village of mills, essentially. So there are maybe 16 of them. I'm pretty sure there are 16 of them. They're kind of positioned along the canal, and you can walk around the entire length of that little village. There's one mill that you could go inside of, which we did, but unfortunately that was the footage that I lost because this current camera that you are viewing me through was very new to me. It still is, to be honest. I was taking pictures, very blurry ones, because I thought I was taking a video. So here we are. I will find some pictures to share with you guys that you will probably see here shortly, or maybe throughout me talking. We'll see. Anyway, this village is just a little bit away from Rotterdam. We did not, unfortunately, get to walk around that town because we were a little short on time when we started, and also it was not the most pretty day. Extremely appropriate for windmills because it was extremely windy, and I'll see if I can share maybe a soundbite with you guys showing or showcasing what we were hearing at all times of the day. So here we are. The destination itself was the windmills, like I mentioned prior. It was a lovely walk along the canal, and now that I remember better, there are actually 19 of them, not 16 like I said before. That apparently is the largest concentration of windmills in the entire country. Concentration in a single place. But again, I am basing my knowledge on what I managed to read about it before we left on that little trip. Don't blame me if I'm wrong, and please correct me with what you know better. Please enjoy some countryside views I filmed from the bus as we were getting in and out of town. As an architect, it was very interesting for me to see how quaint every building is. I mean it in a very positive way. The next day, or maybe the day after, I'm not entirely sure on the timeline, we took a trip to, bear with me, s-Hertogenbosch? I think I've messed it up, but again, I will put the name on the screen. It's quite a mouthful, so can't really blame myself, to be honest. My longtime subscriber and a patron actually gave us a bit of a guided tour through the city, and he also took us to La Trappe Monastery and Brewery, which was extremely enjoyable because we got to ride our bikes there, which I was actually really looking forward to. Before we got to the brewery, however, we, like I said, got to walk around town itself, and I absolutely loved seeing all the pedestrian streets with all of the shops on both sides. Comparing it to the US, where I'm from, it's a very stark difference between the focus on cars versus pedestrians. So that was really fun to me. I took a number of pictures to send over to my friend. She is Catholic, so she really appreciated seeing the cathedral that we went through. I was stunned by the woodwork on this particular organ, so please enjoy. As we exited the city center, I would assume we also went along this, I forget what the street was called, unfortunately, but I will put it on the screen. But the street was overlooking this nature preserve that is local to that area, and it was really gorgeous. We lucked out with the weather for sure, especially considering what it was like at the Windmill City. These are the steps that I tripped on because I can't possibly walk straight with or without the camera. I am obviously not going to show it, but just picture it in your mind. This bridge heavily reminded me of the High Line in New York, if you guys are familiar. If not, I will post a couple of pictures just to see the comparison. It's a much shorter version of it, but extremely reminiscent. And after that, we drove over to Tilburg to visit La Trappe Brewery and Monastery. So here it is. We had some delicious beer and gosh, bitterballen. Yeah, those are amazing. I'm definitely going to be making them at home. Now here we are for my purely architectural reasons. I've heard of this neighborhood before and I really wanted to visit to just see what it looks like now, because the pictures that I've seen before, they did not have a lot of the construction complete, so now we get to see the majority of it done. So what I'm the most interested about with this particular neighborhood is that the buildings are in the water, and throughout my entire career and education, it's always been drilled into me to stay away from water as much as possible. And granted, I am in Amsterdam, the entire city is kind of on the water, so I was very curious to see how it's done and see the end result of what it turned out to be. Interestingly, I am currently working on a project that is very mildly similar to what we're seeing here, because the project consists of an entire development with tens of residential buildings and shops and cafes intertwined between them. So not too far off from here, but definitely not nearly as elaborate as this. Please enjoy the sights and little clips of what they've built so far. I had a lot of fun looking at it. We then biked over to a distillery that was inside a park, and it looks like it was built inside of what used to be a farmhouse. I could be wrong, please correct me. It was a lot of fun. It was very cute. Our next destination was the Open Air Museum, and we did not come terribly prepared. It was way too hot, we didn't think about water, and our shoes weren't ready for this kind of abuse. But if I had to pick my favorite town in the Netherlands from the ones that I have seen, I think Arnhem, and I am also, obviously, butchering the pronunciation, would be it. And I can't even tell you exactly why, but the bus ride from the train station into the Open Air Museum, I don't know, just left an impression on me for some reason. But back to the museum, it is meant to take you through the history of the Netherlands in terms of how crafts and homesteading has evolved, and it was truly fascinating to watch. The fact that the employees actually used the tools to show you how the process was done and how they worked, and they took you through the entire process from what we could actually see. And the general sights and beautiful scenery along with sheep and chickens, that's just a bonus. This is another one that was on my personal architectural bucket list. And this is called the Rietveld house. It was commissioned by a family of 4, the mother and her 3 children. They ended up living in this house once it was actually built. The interesting part about it is that every partition on the second floor is movable, so if you wish to, you could turn the entire second floor into one single open space. The only other part that would be supporting, I guess, the entire structure would be the central stairwell that opens into a very nice and airy skylight at the top. You can see the floor plans and sections and elevations here that are displayed at the house for everyone to see. Lastly, and unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of chances to take note of the food that we got to eat throughout our trip because most of the time I was so exhausted from walking around and biking that it did not even occur to me to take a picture of it, but I did take some. Here we are. I can definitely tell you that everything that we did try was delicious. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little departure from the usual programming. I certainly had a lot of fun filming it and trying to edit it all together. So hopefully you guys enjoy taking this trip with me.